let's talk about what's going on with the economy right now. How does that relate to the short-term rental market? When I'm talking to people about short-term rentals or just really real estate in general, there's a lot of fear out there right now. There's a lot of unknown. Me as an investor, I'm more active right now because a lot of people are sitting on the sidelines. So, for me, this is a really, really good time to take a lot of action, but a lot of people don't think that way. So if people are sitting on the sidelines, they're maybe afraid that they, kind of have that paralysis by analysis right now because of market conditions, because of kind of uncertainties in the global economy. What would you say to them?
That's a very loaded question.
Very loaded, very loaded. Yep.
And I can see it from both perspectives. I mean, when you're looking at purchasing properties, getting into that kind of commitment with, rate hikes and regulation changes, everything like that. Like we always say, progress over perfection in a lot of ways. But even right now, a lot of people that fear factor is like at an all-time high. You're seeing it everywhere in the news saying, like rates are going to drop, like hold on, like there's a lot of like fear in the market right now.
Fear sells. I mean, period. Fear sells, and people are buying it right now.
And maybe just to speak to that, I'm like, if you're even one of those people, it's like, well, then this would be a literally perfect opportunity because you're not having to purchase to even get into it, right? Yeah. Like that. This is that perfect middle ground. Even in the middle, it's like, well, okay, why don't you do rental arbitrage? And manage properties to make sure, number one, the market's going to work, the regulations of it, and then you really understand the best areas to then purchase when you're feeling very confident in that, right?
Yeah, and what's really important too is, and we guide people through the process of making these kind of decisions, but you want to be very cognizant of what risks are you actually taking when you're getting into any type of opportunity or any type of business, right? Mm-hmm. So the unique thing when you actually control properties without having to own it, it gives you a lot more control and flexibility to be able to adapt and pivot if conditions do change, right? But, as you mentioned earlier, there's a lot of talk about, maybe a recession coming up, a slowdown, a shock, whatever word you want to use. At the end of the day, no one knows what's going to happen, right? But the best thing you can do is not try to predict what's going to happen, but simply prepare for it.
I think I had this on a coaching call. I said, don't scare, prepare.
That's good. That should be a t-shirt.
Catchphrase, right? And it's like right now, I mean, we're seeing, there's a lot of people saying, oh, saturated. A lot of people are selling their units. Like there's definitely opportunity right now. And what we're finding is you need to be competitive. We've been banging our heads on the table like for so long, being like, you need to be the best in your area, have a really cool, unique, great design. What's your amenities? Like, what are you offering that separates you from that hosting herd? We've talked about that time and time again, but it's ever so prevalent now because there was a huge rush of hosts coming into this market, but now they're not staying because of this fear-driven mindset as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, strategy on the business side for sure, but like on the financial end of things, if you're not sure what's going to happen, having a little bit of cash set aside, to be able to pounce on opportunities is a really good idea right now because, things do go on sale, i.e., the market crashes or comes down in value. Well, you're going to be able to take advantage of that, right? So in our own business right now, although we are still expanding, we're being very purposeful and very intentional about the type of expansion that we're taking on. We're not taking deals just for the sake of taking deals. It has to fit our set guidelines and parameters before we'll even entertain it. So,
but the thing is, we're building up our cash with our short-term rental business.
Yeah.
Right. So we are still growing and expanding. We're not contracting. We're expanding into the spaces that make sense because there's deals.
With the intent to take that capital that you guys are getting from the arbitrage and the partnerships to roll into your own personal portfolio of ownership on short-term rentals as well, correct?
That's absolutely correct. Yeah. So we use all three. So we have this discussion with students when they're first starting their business is what model do you want to pursue? Do you want to do ownership? Do you want to do arbitrage? Or do you want to do partnership or management? One is not necessarily better than the other. They all have their sets of pros and cons. But for our own personal goals, ownership is definitely in the picture for us in the longer term game that we're looking to play. And, we've been very public. We've been very open about the type of expansion we've been doing, in a little mountain town about 4 hours away from where we live. Although, yes, it has been a very significant investment for us of our own resources to get into that market. it has been extremely, extremely fruitful for us.
Yeah, and we're able to make those analysis because of, what we train, we coach on, and also testing out that market, right? So this is what it all comes. It's a whole symphony of when you're starting to look into this, and having coaches and having, the expertise to really kind of look behind the curtain to know what you're getting into can really help.
Yeah, no, spot on. Congrats to y'all. I mean, that's an amazing portfolio. Let's talk real quickly. So there's been some recent news about Airbnb. People say I'm going to Airbnb that. It's an adjective at this point. But what's the latest and greatest on Airbnb?
Yes, that's another loaded question. So when we say Airbnb, I think you always say is like starting a yellow pages business, right?
Right.
It's just
a channel.
It's just a channel.
Yeah.
Even within our own, we like to say short-term rental, management company or short-term rental business is what we are doing and helping other people start. So when we're looking at Airbnb, there's been a big shift. We've seen, like, even in our own portfolio, we're not reliant on Airbnb, which might be a big shock to everyone. I'm like, yes, it is the juggernaut of the industry, and we won't, kind of hide away from that. But the thing is there's a lot of other ways to get into this. There's other, other platforms, short-term rental platforms you can get on. Direct bookings. It's a game changer when you just can have your own repeat customers coming into this, and you're not just having to rely on one source. This is probably the biggest shift. And next big shift as well is there's a, I guess, kind of in the corner, a big player that's coming in silently here, and that's Google. Google is coming in with their own short-term rental platform as well. Actually, they're already here. We're actually on it as well, but they are expanding, and they have the best SEO in the world because they own Google, obviously.
So ultimately, do you think they're going to overtake Airbnb as the lead booking site, obviously with that search engine attached to it?
Yeah, I think there's definitely going to be, some, sharks in the water, so to speak, right? Like, I don't think Airbnb is ever necessarily going to go away. And to answer your earlier question about some of the changes that we're seeing, it's been like abundantly clear. If you just go on Airbnb right now, they're obviously pushing very heavily unique properties, things that you don't normally see. It's not your standard 3-bed, 2-bath house. Like, just go take a look. Like, they have all these different categories on there now of all the different types of unique homes that are available in the world. And
that's what they're pushing, is like, you can stay in a spaceship, you can stay in an igloo, you can stay over a cliff, right? You can like all these things. Like,
you can stay in an igloo.
You can. It's really cool. I got to put the Canadian flavor on there. But it's all these kind of things that, that's where their competitive edge is coming into, because with these other platforms coming into play, especially with Google, they're going to have competition, right? Definitely coming in with that SEO, and they don't even charge at the moment any management fees to get into it, or like service fees for the host. So like, they're coming in pretty hard with it, and I can't wait to see I'm excited to see how that comes with some of these bigger short-term rental platforms.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a dynamic marketplace right now, and I love that Google's getting involved. That's just going to bring more notoriety, to the market itself. So people are traveling differently, people are working differently now. So the trajectory of short-term rentals is only going up right now. So it's drawing more attention, guys. If you want to get involved in it, these are your folks. If you don't have a ton of capital, if you don't want to utilize your credit in order to get into these properties, but you want to make money in the short-term rental space, go ahead and reach out to Michael and Katrina and their team at BNB Bootcamp at VIPfinancialeducation.com. Include your first, your last name, and the best number to reach you at, and they'll talk to you about their program. There is a cost associated with that. If you guys can kind of break down the offering, and I know you guys are always gracious enough to give a special deal to our folks that are watching, on the channel here. So if you can kind of break that down, what do they get? What are the costs associated with that?
Yeah. So when anyone's kind of considering coming in, we always want to be transparent upfront of, what it looks like to actually work with us, the cost coming in. So we offer a 4-month BNB Bootcamp Kickstarter program. So that's everything we talked about on this call so far, is like how to get in, how to get those business foundations, differences between rental arbitrage, partnership, all the systems, the back end, the pricing, like literally starting kind of, I guess, that business in a box that you were saying, from scratch to really be effective and hit the ground running, but make sure you have a very good business to be able to grow and scale with. So that 4-month program of anyone coming in, our program starts at $12K US. However, with VIP and the relationship we have, any students that are coming in from that route, we do offer the VIP discount, which is 9997. So just shy of 10K. That's on the call, you're ready to get going. You're sick of being on the sidelines, ready to hit the ground running. We do offer that for any students coming in through VIP.
And I understand you guys have some financing options also if people won't necessarily have the 10K, call it up front. There's some installment programs, and you guys have some financing options as well. They can talk to you guys about that on that phone call. So, guys, thanks for joining us on the episode here today. Michael and Katrina, we're going to keep bringing you back on. We've got a great testimonial coming up, so stay tuned for that. And as always, guys, thanks for joining us, and see you on the next episode.
Thanks so much. See you then.
Take care.
Mm.